Hello and welcome back to the Bearded Dentist. Today we are going to be showing a quick video on caries removal on some front teeth. I picked this tooth. We're doing all four front teeth on her. We're crowning the four front incisors because they all have very large cavities and each tooth has about 3 or 4 patchy failing fillings in it. And as I always say, when a tooth becomes more plastic than tooth, it's best to go with a crown. They're going to last a lot longer and they're going to be a lot more durable and do the job we need them to do. In order to remove these caries around the cervical margin of these teeth, I always like using a round burr just because I can kind of press it in there and get that little divot as much as I can without having to worry about the rest of the shank of the burr. It also leaves a nice little cup in there too, and not like a really deep divot. And the number one tool in my toolbox is always going to be the slow speed for these. It's really, really important that we get as much of the infected and affected dentin out when we're looking at bond strength. Sometimes you can leave affected dentin in there if it's in a deep spot of a filling or somewhere where it's really not going to matter, but we need as much bond strength as possible in these cervical areas when we're doing core buildups underneath these crowns. And affected dentin, even though it's not infected, still has a decreased bond strength with anything you're bonding to it. So I always go in with a round burr. Now we're here on number 8. Always go in with round burr, and you can see there's a little patchy filling sitting right in between those two kind of brown spots. I'm hitting it right now. Each of the front teeth has something like this, 2 or 3 of them. So I go in with the round burr on a high speed. I like using a red diamond. I don't know why, I just feel like it doesn't gouge as much and I can be a little bit more firm with it without, worrying about taking out a big chunk of the tooth. And then I go in with a slow speed. I also like the slow speed around the gum tissue. As you can see, I did nick that gum tissue with the high speed, but the slow speed really doesn't. If you're going fast enough with a nice sharp clean carbide, you're really not going to catch that gum tissue. And as you can see, I'm pressing right up against it and I'm not adding any more new bleeding material or bleeding tissue to the situation. Same thing here. Now this tooth's not going to get a crown. This is the canine. The canine's just going to get a filling. We've got a lot of decalcification around the cervical portion, and I do the same exact method whether I'm doing a filling or a core buildup for a crown. It's going to start with high speed round burr and it's going to end with a slow speed. The slow speed on that didn't look good, so I just edited it out. When I get in between here for these mesial facials, mesial distals, or even on the lingual or palatal, if you will, I always like to use a diamond taper burr to really get nice and in between there. Now, I've got a little bit of leeway here because I'm going to be prepping this tooth anyway, so I don't care if I hit the adjacent tooth. But that's a really nice burr to use when you're just doing those little class 3s on these anteriors and you're trying not to hit the adjacent tooth, but you're really trying to get nice and deep in there and get all of that decalcification out and any stain or any old filling. That's my burr of choice when I'm doing that. And then I'm just going to show some of the rest of the prep here. As you can see, there's quite a bit of decay in between each of these teeth, and each of them has some sort of filling that's in there that's been failing. And I always open up. You really want to get down and not have your margins touching each other on these teeth. You want the lab to have enough space to be able to get good solid margins where the margin area of the tooth is not touching. If that margin area of the tooth is touching, the lab's going to have a really difficult time getting something good for you that's going to allow the patient to get it nice and clean and for you to be able to remove the cement after you've placed the final crowns. But I always follow the contour of the papilla and never cut the papilla. Sometimes if the patient's got really, really angry gums or very, very overgrown tissue for whatever reason, sometimes I will contour the sides of the papilla because that tissue will, grow back. But I never, or I at least try my best to not reduce the height of the papilla unless it is very overgrown or, undergoing some hyperplasia. Sometimes you get that when patients are on specific meds. So sometimes that is necessary. In this case, it's not necessary, so I really try to respect the tissue of the papilla, especially in between those front teeth, because we do not want a blunted papilla. That's you could put the best crowns on somebody, but if you have a flat gingival tissue there, it's gonna look poor, and it's really, really hard to fix. And here I'm just showing how I like to put in my core buildup. I pretty much ice cream cone the whole thing. I don't worry about getting it on the gums or getting it in between the teeth. I pretty much lock all the teeth together. I'm going to prep all that stuff away. I would rather make for 100% sure that I've got enough volume and enough thickness everywhere that I can make a real nice prep underneath. And instead of being timid with it and not trying to let it touch the other teeth and whatever, and having to prep that off, I just go in and just fill everything up, so that way I know I'm not going to have any weird planes or weird divots or anything that's going to come out funky, even opposing or adjacent to teeth that I'm not prepping. It flakes right off, you can smooth it right off. So this one was a little hard to get the camera to focus on because, I'm moving all about. But hey guys, I really appreciate everyone watching these videos. If you like what you saw, like and subscribe. If you think I'm doing something wrong or you just want to add your piece, please comment below, and thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.